Hi my lovelies! So I have been meaning to make this video talking about what I'm going to be talking about for nearly a year. I have been wanting to talk about this. So I will be talking about my wisdom teeth removal that I had back in March. No, it was April. I think it was about the 12th of April in 2021. So I had only just moved houses and then I had to go and get my teeth done. It was a very stressful time, but when I was preparing to get it done, I was going on YouTube so much, just trying to find advice or what to expect, recovery, you know, what to do, what not to do, all of that. And I am not kidding, I found maybe one that was Australian. So many are from the US, the UK, literally everywhere else, but not in Australia. So I was like, okay, I need to do one like for Australia or as an Australian for other people that might be going through this or about to go through this that just want a little bit of insight. So basically the reason, what got me into kind of knowing that I needed to get my teeth done was basically I had a really sore jaw and I would always kind of investigate. So I would always get my little torch and I would shine it in my mouth and be like, okay, well, does anything look out of ordinary? Does anything look out of place? Like it's not supposed to be like that. And I did actually notice that along with having some pain is that it might have been my left side. Could be wrong though. The gum had actually split open, so my tooth was coming through. So that's why it was so sore. I was getting food stuck in there. It was just, yeah, it was not a fun time. And every single day I was in a lot of pain because this thing had split open in my mouth. And there's a lot that goes through in your mouth, like, there's a lot that goes on. So I hate the dentist. I hate it. I put it off so much, but at this point I was like, okay, well, I kind of need to go. So I made the appointment, I went, they're like, yep, okay, you know, that is your wisdom tooth coming through. It's prone to infections. It did have an infection, so that's another thing that really enhanced its pain. So they're like, yeah, it's an infection. So I think they put me on antibiotics for a few days, and then a few days later they're like, okay, yeah, you know, like come in. They did ask me if I wanted to get my tooth removed on that day, and I was like, no. My anxiety cannot handle last minute things saying, oh, we can remove it today. I need to mentally prepare for this trauma, because it might not be a big deal to everyone, but it is still a trauma that you are going through. So I freaked out when she said that. I was like, does anyone actually say yes to doing it on that day? So I said no. So I went home, I had my antibiotics for a few days, all the anti-inflammatories to try to bring down the infection. And then I went in. I was extremely anxious. I had been doing so much research, like I've mentioned, because I just didn't know what to expect. So many people were going through. There are 3 different kinds of anesthesia that are available when you get your teeth removed. You can have local, you can have general, or you can have the gas. So I am very conscious about that. So I wanted, because of my anxiety, I really wanted to be put under. So I think that's general. So I was like, you know, can I get general? But because of where I live, apparently, in Western Australia, they're like, if you want general, you're going to have to wait about 12 months because we don't have the surgeons available. And that blew my mind. I'm like, we have, like, as far as I know, I'm not an expert, as far as I know, Australia has a really good healthcare system. So I was shocked when they're like, oh, you know, we don't have the surgeon. I'm like, how? I was like, 12 months? Oh my god. So I was like, well, I can't put up with this pain for 12 months, plus I'm so afraid of even a worse infection. So I was like, okay, well, what are my other 2 options? So then I wanted to do the gas. I was like, can I do the gas? But then because I have breathing problems, like you might pick up in some of my videos or something that I might just suddenly take like a really deep breath or like a really big gasp or something like that. So I do sometimes have a problem with getting enough oxygen in to where I just can't really breathe. So I said that, and they're like, oh, we can't risk that for you, like, you know, if we're dealing with your mouth and you just suddenly like breathe in. I personally only had one option, which was the local anesthetic, which, if you don't know, especially for teeth, it's needles. I've never been afraid of needles because having chronic illnesses and constantly being sick, I am so used to basically being jabbed. So I didn't have a problem with needles. In the mouth though, I was not looking forward to that. I thought it would be maybe 1 or 2 needles, one for either side. No. I personally, I don't know if it's like this for everyone, because like I said, I don't know everything about this procedure. I literally just know what happened with me. So I had a total of 6 needles in the mouth. I don't think I mentioned. So I had all 4 removed at the one time. I went in first off with just a problem with one of them, but I did then have an x-ray of my jaw and my teeth, and they're like, yeah, you know, we may as well take them all out because something was up with like the top ones, like they were coming through or getting pushed or something. So I got all 4 removed on both sides, all at the one time, which I am in the long term grateful and glad that it was all done at once and I wouldn't have to go through the procedure, wait for them to recover, and then go through it again. I'm like, I can't do that. So I am glad that I got all 4 done at the same time. But yeah, so I had 6 needles. I'm pretty good with pain, but sometimes I'm also really bad. So it really depends on the day, how I'm feeling, how my usual pain levels are, and what it is that's causing the pain. So my dentist surgeon person, she put this numbing gel inside my mouth just before she would give me the injections. She did that so it wasn't straight away just a needle going in your mouth. But for me it felt like it. I couldn't really feel the gel. But for me, I thought the needles going into the actual jawbone where the teeth are, I thought they were going to be the most painful. But actually for me personally, because like I said, I can't talk for everyone, it's just my experience, the ones that go into your top of, I don't even understand why they did it, but needles going into the top of your mouth, like the roof of your mouth, I don't understand why they did that. But it was just 2 needles there. They hurt the worst. I've never been good at taking deep breaths. Anytime I'm getting anything done and doctors are like, okay, now take a deep breath, relax, I've never physically been able to do that. But I was trying to be really conscious of my breathing just to make sure that I was still breathing during this, since I could not feel my face. So when she did the needles in the roof of my mouth, I made sure, okay, take a really big deep breath, and it did hurt less because of that, but it was still the most painful. I also just want to kind of mention, it's like, I do have breathing problems, so it's really good to have really good communication with your dentist or your surgeon or anyone doing anything. Communication is key. So I was like, you know, I'm afraid that, you know, I'm going to not be able to breathe and then it's going to be a hospital trip. So she was really good in that way. She made sure to kind of stop each time. She's like, okay, now, you know, how does that feel? I was like, yep, it's fine. And then I was like, okay, no, you know, I think I am actually struggling to breathe a little bit. But because this was my first experience with local anesthetic, let alone in my mouth. I'd never had that done before. So I was like, you know what, I don't think I actually can breathe. But she's like, no, you're breathing, you're actually fine. It's just the anesthetic, so it feels like you're not breathing, but you actually are. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so it was really uncomfortable, you know, feeling like that you can't breathe, but your body is actually breathing. So that was confusing. Part of some of my chronic illnesses or sensitivity is I will freak out if someone gets too close to me. So if I don't know someone, or it's just that physical, having someone in your face, I was like, I don't like this. So I had to make sure they still put the glasses on you, but I just had to make sure that I was like looking above, looking to the side, or closing my eyes, because I could not know that someone was like right there. I was like, I can't do that. I've got enough anxiety as it is right now, so I don't need to have someone's face in my face. so that was that. The procedure was really quick, the entire thing. I had my mother in the room with me just as that moral support. I was like, I can't go through this alone. It's like, I need someone with me. So, you know, so you're still conscious, you know, you're still aware of everything going on. You're numbed up, so you can't really feel anything. So it was a really simple process. I was being very conscious of my breathing, how I was breathing. I had my hands on my stomach the entire time to be like, okay, is it raising? Yes, it's raising. How quickly? How not? So it was fine. Yes, I was sweating so much because, one, it was summer, and also I was just anxious. So when you get anxious, you know, you sweat. It's a normal thing. We have to normalize it. It's not a bad thing. So yeah, so I was making sure I was very conscious of my breathing, doing that, making sure if something didn't feel right or I was getting scared, I would communicate it and be like, hey, you know this, even though I couldn't really feel my face. Trying to talk when you can't feel your face has got to be one of the weirdest things. So I just remember at one point during it, so you can't feel your face, okay? You can't feel your jaw, and they're all in your mouth. They are fiddling with your mouth. And I just remember my surgeon saying, Alana, you're biting me. Stop biting me. I'm like, I can't feel my jaw, so I don't feel like I'm biting you. So she had to put this cube of some kind in my mouth to stop me from biting her. Which I just think is the funniest thing. I'm like, I guess I'm a biter. So that's a little bit of humor. But also, as a bit of a personal characteristic, is when I get so anxious, like I'm terrified, which is usually only to do with some kind of medical procedure getting done, I get very much in my head. Like, I become such a depressed and negative person. Like, I just talk about death the entire time. I don't mean to be. When I'm not going through a procedure, I am a very happy, bubbly, energetic person. But not when I'm getting a procedure done. Which I ended up actually getting told off by my surgeon, like, afterwards. She's like, oh, yeah, you know, you have to be more positive. I'm like, I am a positive person. Just not when I'm getting a procedure done, because that is when the evil little gremlin comes out and just crap talks everything. So, that was a little bit uncomfortable, but that's fine, whatever. But it was a really, really simple procedure. It was not long. I think it might have been 30 to 60 minutes, but it did not feel it. So yeah, so they were all really easy to take out. I couldn't really feel it. I can't remember fully because, like I said, it's been nearly a year. This is January 2022 now. So I had that done in April 2021. But yeah, so they were really simple, just literally plucked them out, that was fine. I don't remember how much communication she did, like if she was saying, okay, now I'm doing this now, or doing this. I remember she'd be like, okay, now that you're going to feel pressure, or, you know, if I'm pulling. They were all fine. When I was in my research phase though, I was doing, you know, loads of research. And they were saying, yeah, you know, like they're going to use a drill in your mouth, they're going to be tugging and pulling and doing all this, and I was terrified. I was like, let alone someone being in my face that I don't know, so I'm uncomfortable as it is. And now this. So, but for me, so the entire time I was waiting for the drill. I was like, is it drill time? No. Oh. But I only needed the drill once on one tooth. So the others that were really quick, she just, you know, without getting all gory and detailed and graphic, cut it open, took out the tooth, stitched it up, all of that. But I think it was my bottom left. So the one that I actually went in for was the most problematic one. So that one she did need to use the drill for, to actually drill it, yank it out, or it wasn't fun. It's so weird. When I say that you're numbed up and you can't feel your jaw, I don't mean completely. You still have some sensation. It feels really weird, and it's not necessarily pain that you will feel. So when I was getting the stitches done, I kept asking her, I'm like, did you just put that through my lip? And everyone in the room like, no, it's in your mouth, you're fine, it's not through, because it felt like she put the stitch straight through my lip. It felt so weird. I was like, this can't be right. The weird sensations. What else is there? I think that's everything for the procedure. Like, that's just done. It was very quick, it was very good. I got some more antibiotics to take for like the next few days, and then also a prescription for some pain medication. Just as like a little personal preference, I am not big on pain medication. I will not take pain medication if I can avoid it. I try not to even have any in the house, just from personal experience. I'm very uncomfortable around it. So I was like, but specifically 1 and 2 different kinds of pain medications, I'm like, I can't have these around me. And one of those actually was the one that I was prescribed, so like, you know, this is the one, because it's a really heavy pain medication. So I was severely anxious when she's like, yeah, you know, this is the one that you'll be taking. I'm like, I was nearly in shock. My mother dropped me at home after my procedure. You know, I had my ice packs all on me. I was like, oh. And so I was at home. She did not take long, but I am not kidding. This is where my pain tolerance kind of comes in. I have a really good pain tolerance. I was curling my toes at this. For these maybe 20 minutes that I was at home waiting for my mother to come back with my pain medication, I was curling my toe. It was the most excruciating pain. I don't want this to be frightening or traumatizing for anyone to watch if you are watching this preparing for it. But I just want to say, it's like, for me personally, so it might not be that painful for anyone else, but for me, it was really, really hard. And they do say, I have seen multiple times, that if you look up the most painful surgeries that you can possibly get, anything to do with your mouth comes second. I think it's next to a heart attack or heart surgery or something. I could be wrong, but it was really painful. So I was like, mother, hurry up and get back. I need my tablet. And then it was kind of fine. Sleeping was uncomfortable. I did have to sleep with an extra pillow just to keep your head raised. And then I could only really sleep on. It was really difficult. If you're only getting 2 wisdom teeth removed and it's on the one side, that's kind of fine. Like, you can just sleep on your other side. But because I had both, I kind of had to sleep like just on my back. And I am not a back sleeper unless it's like a really deep sleep. Then mostly I'll still wake up on my stomach. But yeah. So it was really uncomfortable to sleep, and it's like, I rely on my sleep so much. I need my sleep to function like a human being. So also before I went in to get this done, I did the biggest food shop, the biggest grocery shop, just to be prepared so I didn't have to really do anything. I looked up all of the foods that I could eat, the kinds of food, the textures, all of that. So I had like lots of jellies, I had like mashed potato, I was going to have smoothies, all of that. But they do say that you can't have anything that has seeds in it in case it gets stuck in your stitches or in like your open wounds. But oddly enough, when you think of having anything done with your mouth, you automatically, I don't know if it's automatic for everyone else, but for me, I automatically go to jelly. I'm like, okay, yep, you know, that's something that, you know, you'll have. It was one of the hardest things for me to have. I could not open my mouth, so that was really hard. So I was basically having lots of like custard, lots of yogurt, lots of soup, like really like watery soup. Mashed potato was really hard. Like, it was like cold mashed potato, but it was still mashed, so I couldn't even, yeah. So I don't think I really ate for like 3-4 days after my procedure done. Yeah, so it was really hard. Then my face inflamed so much. I do have pictures, so I'll have to try to find those. But yeah, and then naturally, you know, we had stuff that needed done around the house on like, I think it was the day after my surgery. I call it a surgery. I don't know if anyone else does, but I personally call it a surgery. Yeah, we had a handyman come to the house, and he was trying to talk to me, and I was just like this. I'm like, I can't talk, I just had my teeth done. Oh my gosh, it's not good if you have like, you know, social anxiety or you're afraid of how you look to other people. So I was like, I can't talk. But yeah, so for me, pain-wise, the pain did not last long. I really thought, because I was so anxious about being on that pain medication, I was like, I don't want to take this unless I'm in excruciating pain, like I can't do anything. So for me, I would only have once at nighttime, just to like actually help me get through the night. And then after, I think it was 3 nights, I was like, okay, now I'm really just taking it just as like a precaution. So I'm like, that's not, for me, that is not a good enough reason to take medication, just as a precaution. I'm like, no. If I need it, okay. But if I don't need it, then no. I'll kind of just get through it. So I was 3 nights on that. Also, I do want to mention, because I don't think I've said it, is, like I've mentioned multiple times, I am not big on taking pain medication or taking anything. Leading up, so like maybe a week leading up to my procedure, or even seeing the dentist for the first time, I was taking Panadol every single day. It was that painful. I won't even take anything if I have a headache. Like, if I've had it, I kind of have this internal rule. If I've had a headache for 12 or more hours, then I'll allow myself to have, you know, to take something. Other than that, I'm like, no. Because I personally, like I keep saying multiple times, this is all personal preference, personal views, opinions, and boundaries, is I don't want to become dependent on that. I am very afraid to become dependent on things. So, there's some personal issues for you right there. So yeah, so that's one thing that I was actually getting really scared of, is that, you know, I am starting to get very dependent on this because I'm taking it every single day. So yeah, but after my procedure, it was 3 days, I was kind of done. Then it was just like, if I had like a really bad pain day, I might take something, and that's kind of it. Mostly though, I just had an ice pack on my face 24/7. Don't expect yourself to get too much done. Like, just see it as though you're going on a vacation for a few days or a week, because there is no time frame for how long it's going to take you to recover. There is literally nothing. There is like a guideline, or like an estimate. With me, 3 days for pain medication, and then maybe a week or more for that. And it took, I think it was 4 to 6 weeks for my stitches to dissolve. So I do remember though, so I got dissolvable stitches. I'm guessing that they do that with everyone that's getting their teeth done. I don't know, I hope, because that would be uncomfortable getting stitches removed. And I just remember I thought I got food stuck in my mouth. So, you know, one night I was just kind of like picking, I was like just trying to get the food out. It was actually a stitch. So I was picking at my own stitch, which was not fun. So sometimes, because I would always think that all stitches are black. That's not the case. If you are as crazy pants as me, stitches aren't always black. Dissolvable ones are usually white or clear. So I literally thought I had food stuck in my mouth. So if you see anything that's like really not coming out or something, leave it. It is probably a stitch. So they do say that externally and internally it will take your mouth longer to recover. So I think it's maybe 3 to 6 months for externally, and then it can take 6 to 12 months for it to internally heal. So yeah, so now, like, even now, it's like a year later, and it still feels really weird. Like, I still wake up sometimes with a really sore jaw, because that was, my face, recovering wise, my face wasn't that sore. It was more my neck and like under. I'm like, that was for me like the worst part. It wasn't really inside, it was kind of fine. The salt washes, they did not hurt at all, which was amazing, because I was terrified. Because if you have ever like cut your leg or something and then gone into the ocean, that friggin' hurts. Because salt water in wounds, it's a saying. So I was kind of terrified for that, but it didn't hurt at all. It kind of felt nice. But yeah. So really, like, if you have a job, take about maybe a week off. You might reassess. Even if you feel like you might be able to go back like a day early or something, take the time off. Recover fully. You might feel really out of it, because you can feel out of it from the anesthesia. And yeah, just be kind on yourself, give yourself patience, give yourself time, and yeah. What works for some people won't work for others. It's a really personal thing, but I do hope that this kind of helped in some way, you know, gave you a bit more of an insight to what it was like for me, because I don't know anyone that has had the needles in their mouth and survived. That's my little dramatic, everyone survives. But, but yeah, I was terrified to get those needles done. I was like, you want to shove needles in my mouth? But it was absolutely fine. You know, I went through a lot of anxiety. I'm also a hypochondriac, so I will think I'm dying with like everything. So you'll find I was terrified that I would get a blood clot, because clots are very, I don't know if it's common, but they're very known. So I did actually end up going back into the office because it was so nice. My surgeon gave us her personal phone number to call. I'm like, so sweet. That is caring. So I think it was maybe a few hours later or that night, I was like, you know, I still feel like it's bleeding so much. You know, I've gone through all of the gauze, which is like the tissues or whatever that they give you to keep on. I'm like, it's still bleeding so much. Like, I don't think it's clotting in the right way. So we did go back in, and she's like, no, it's actually clot. Like, you're fine. It's good. I'm like, but it's bleeding. So, little helpful tips that I learned from that visit, which, yeah, she told us, is just because it's bleeding or looks like it's bleeding, it doesn't mean that it actually hasn't clot. When she explained it to me, she was like, no, it's like when you put a drop of something in water or in saliva, it's going to make it look like it's so much. So really, there might have been like a single drop of water, a single drop of like my blood mixing with my saliva, and that's why it looks like I was bleeding so much. So that is that. I think that is all. I just flashed. Oh my god. Yeah, I think that is all. It was it was an experience. But you know, I'm very glad that I don't really have to go through it again. Be very conscious of when you are brushing your teeth afterwards. I have actually now, it started off as intentional, and now it's just like kind of subconsciously, or I have no idea how you say that, brushing my teeth in a different way to make sure that I'm getting the back ones but I'm not hurting the jaw. So the amount of times I like banged my, like, the bone at like the back of my mouth that's like right behind where I had my teeth done, oh my god, so much. I'm just like the biggest clumsiest person. So yeah, so I think that is all. This is all over the place because it's me. I ramble, I make no sense. I made notes and then I deleted the notes because I thought I wasn't going to make this video. But yeah, but basically, if you're going into getting your teeth removed, whether, you know, you're in Australia and you might have a similar experience to mine, or you're in a different country, because yeah, like I said, I saw so many wisdom teeth removal videos from people in America. So but yeah, but don't be anxious. Just be, you know, be very lenient on yourself. You know, be very conscious of how you're feeling. Be open about communication. If something doesn't feel right, trust that. But also know that it could also be your anxiety. So just communicate that. Be like, oh, you know, I'm not, like, I'm feeling this. I'm not sure if that's right. Just communicate it. There is no harm that comes with communicating. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm actually rambling. I hope this has been helpful in some way or another, whether, you know, you are anxious about the needles, how the needles felt, the recovery, the food, literally anything. I do hope that this has helped answer a question. If it has helped you, please let me know in the comments, because it will just make me feel so good to know that this video actually had purpose and an impact. So if it helped you, if you learned anything, or if it was just funny to see me ramble like I do, again, let me know, because that's fun. Who doesn't love a good ramble? It's fun. So that's me. I hope you all have a fabulous day. It is, what day is it today? What day is it? It is Thursday. So I don't know if it will be Thursday when this comes up or when you're watching, but whatever day it is, have a good day. It's an amazing day. And yeah, just be lenient on yourself. It is a really good excuse to get cozy in bed when you've had your teeth done. And yeah, no one can give you shit about it. You're just like, I need to be in bed. I need to spend the days in bed. It's crazy. We like our beds. I'm losing my mind. Have a brilliant day, my lovely people. I was trying so hard to smile in these pictures, but my mouth was so tight, I physically could not smile.